really shook the internet the first time you came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
I'm going to show you a quick video clip, and then I'm going to break down for you as to why this is evidence of the destruction of modern Christian marriages today. And then I'm going to tell you what you can do about it.
Really shook the internet the first time you came on. I got in so much trouble for talking to you.
I know you haven't. I appreciate that.
They say very nasty things about you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we know.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute.
You said that you lied about everything. People were tagging me in it on social media, and they said, see, Michael, here's proof that she lied to you.
Everything I've said on podcasts is complete clickbait.
Why do you think people want you to be lying?
That happened to her. I can't believe that it's real, because then that means I can change my ways and still get saved.
She was brought up in the church. Is this mental illness?
People have criticized you because they say, you made all this money. Where's the penance? They say you should give all your money away.
Okay, we'll just stop that right there. I'm Paul, behavioral and mental performance expert. What we're going to talk about is a bigger issue, one that's bigger than Nala, and one that's certainly bigger than the Daily Wire. And that's the destruction of Christian marriages, and how you, if you're a Christian guy participating in this sort of narrative that's going on, how you're adding to that destruction. And then we can talk about, of course, what to do differently. Now, let's look at OnlyFans. And this is really important because there's some pieces that fit together here that you might not quite see. OnlyFans is one of the fastest growing industries. 5 years ago, it went from $300 million paying out $300 million to creators. Okay, that was 5 years ago, to now in 2024 paying out $6.3 billion in revenue to creators. So OnlyFans in 5 years grew exponentially, and that's payouts to these porn and amateur porn actresses, most of them. Okay, there are some professionals that are on there, and there are some people who are porn actresses that are very popular with millions and millions of views, but there's mostly amateur porn actresses on OnlyFans. They got paid in 2024 $6.3 billion. From 300 million 5 years ago. I gotta repeat that because that's a crazy number. Okay, so let's look, but who is buying? So who are these simps that are spending all this money on these amateur porn stars? We got free porn out there. You can search that stuff up, get it for free. Wasn't that way when I was younger. Now it's all there for you. You can just, I don't recommend you do it. I recommend you have good, healthy relationships and real sexual relationships with real women. But hey, man, you can do it. Yet they're not doing it. These large amount of people, 240 million people, in fact, are getting on OnlyFans and paying OnlyFans content creators $6.3 billion. Who are these simps? Now, some might think, as I might have thought without thinking about it further, that these are your incels, right? These are your creepy dudes who are socially awkward, who, are suspect predators, who don't do well with women and who don't have women in their lives. And so, it's the meme of the guy who, the overweight, bad skin guy who plays video games or whatever, and works a crappy job and lives in his mom's basement. Then that guy we would think is paying for OnlyFans or whatever, right? That's the thought process. Well, guess what? That's not the guy that's paying for OnlyFans. In fact, that guy, that meme of the incel man that lives in parents' basement or some crappy apartment somewhere or whatever, that guy, he's probably doing free pornography. He's not simping and paying for OnlyFans girls. Most of those guys, when we look at the numbers, do you know who's paying for OnlyFans girls? Married Christian men. Married Christian men are paying for OnlyFans girls. 89.5% of OnlyFans customers are married men. Married Christian men, most of them. Okay. That's the numbers. That's their data. The data is 89.5%. Might as well just round it to 90%. Okay. 90% of 90% of people on OnlyFans are married men. Most of those men, Christian background, claiming Christianity. That's what's going on right now. So this is the simping problem is a Christian man problem. Okay. I'm not going to say that it's not a problem elsewhere. I'm not going to say it's not a problem with, I don't know, Muslims or Jews or, non-religious people, secular people. But the OnlyFans thing specifically is a Christian married man problem. Again, those other guys who simp, most of those guys are just doing porn for free. Okay. The ones that are not, having women in their life, the ones with the porn addictions, those sorts of things. They're just, they got the free stuff. The guys paying for it, taking money away from their families, okay, away from their children. If they have children, their wives, and sending it to some e-thought, some 304 content creator. That's where that money's going. 240 million people. 240 million people on OnlyFans. 90% married men, most of them Christian. So don't tell me, don't sit back, Christian guys, when I tweet it, okay, and have your stupid reaction telling me that it's not a Christian problem. Okay, this is almost exclusively a Christian married man problem. Simping is like worldwide and amongst all religions and all that stuff, and I get that. But specifically OnlyFans and sending these girls money, that's a you problem if you're a Christian married man. That's by the data. So, okay, so we need to talk about this. Instead of denying it and, it's everywhere and simps are everywhere, but it's not us. That is clouding the issue. You see, that's the story that Christians are telling, is that, wow, there's porn out there, guys. There's porn, there's evil out there, evil porn and evil, stuff happening. And don't do the porn, guys. Don't be porn addicts. Meanwhile, sneaking around in the privacy of their own homes, hiding in the closet or in the basement or in their men's den or little men's office, right? Or hiding in the bathroom with their phone or their computer. They're not just watching the free porn. They're watching OnlyFans content creators. Many of these girls, it's a tangent here, but I know girls or adults now who did those sorts of things as teenagers. They had fake IDs. They got on there as teenagers. They got on there as kids, basically 15, 16, 17-year-old kids getting on and doing internet pornography, right? And doing the e-girl thing that you Christian married dudes are simping for and sending them money. So these girls that this is what they're doing. They're doing it behind closed doors and they're lying to you about it. They lie. They're lying. These guys, when I throw something up on my Twitter and I get nasty responses from Christians, like, I don't know, and you should go to church and you're whatever. Like, this isn't about my faith. And I'm not saying anything negative about the Christian religion. I'm talking about a real problem that's happening among Christian married men and who go to Christian churches and who lie to everybody else around them and then go log on to OnlyFans and send their families money to e-girls. That's what I'm fucking talking about. All right. So let's not bullshit anybody here. Let's talk about what is reality. Like, why am I passionate about this? Right? Like, I'm passionate about this because you're destroying your lives. Okay. You're destroying your marriages. And I want the Christian marriage to be successful because that gives a good prognosis for long-term relationships. Right now, long-term relationships are in a crisis. Okay. Most people are in crappy, terrible relationships. And if they're doing relationships at all. All right. Most people are imprisoned by their relationships after a few years. And if there's a marriage contract, it's even worse problem. And they're usually, those are many of those are ending in divorce. And the ones that don't end in divorce have just unhappy people. And those unhappy people don't contribute to the world in the same way as if they were supportive of each other and in love and happy with each other. And they're certainly not raising their kids in the same way in their miserable relationships. And this is just the data. 15% is we could even consider remotely happy by the 8-year mark in a long-term relationship. Only 6% are saying, hey, like we're at bliss, we're at full go. But gee, I would just settle for kind of almost good, right? And that's only 15%. 85% of these long-term relationships are failures, all right? And they're worse failures to me than the breakups that happen because they're stuck and they're sitting there and the dude's miserable, the wives are miserable, and they just get more and more miserable and they raise miserable fucked up kids, okay? And then it just keeps going. And so we want to make better people. We want to make a better world. Let's start making better families. And that starts with the husband. And you know what? At least in my channel, it starts with the husband. We can start it anywhere you want, but we're going to talk about the husband for now. All right. And you can talk about God in your church. All right. Let's talk practical here on this channel. Okay, practically speaking, what you're going to do as a man. And if the Christian churches who are providing a model, at least in the West, the United States, for what marriage should look like, is riddled with dudes getting on OnlyFans and simping for women, and then you have guys like Michael Knowles playing into that narrative, we have a serious problem. All right. There's not going to be a good prognosis for long-term relationships. But the few dudes that might coach with me, those guys will have long-term relationships that are good. And I'm just never, I don't know, I'm not big enough to reach the rest of them. So I need your help. All right. I need you church people to help out here a little bit and stop lying to yourselves. Stop falling into this, this social narrative that's happening. All right. Where you simp for girls on the internet. Like you have to stop doing that and start paying attention to your real relationships, your actual marriage, right? Your actual real human to human relationships that you are escaping from the internet. If you're a Christian man, many of you, not all of you, but many of you. Okay. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the 3 things that are leading to this destruction. Okay. And if you got to be able to follow the storyline here, not the story you're being told, but what's actually happening. So story number 1 involves the Christian doctrine and ideology behind forgiveness and redemption. What I think is great about Christianity is this story of redemption and this story of forgiveness, because I think for civilized society and for having happy and healthy relationships and good families and all that stuff, we need to be able to seek redemption. We need to be able to have forgiveness in our hearts for others, be able to forgive ourselves, be able to seek forgiveness out when we do things that we shouldn't. So I think that this is a very good thing about Christianity. So the thing number 1 isn't a criticism, but it's a part of the story. So you have the story in this doctrine of forgiveness, of redemption. And then you have built into that story in the Jesus story, which is about redemption and forgiveness and Jesus dying for our sins and, seeking out forgiveness and having faith, and you can be saved, right? And so you're being absolved of sins and you get to be saved by the selfless act of another. In this case, God's only son. Okay. This is a great thing about Christian ideology. I think this is a good thing. Built in that story, you also have the story of Mary Magdalene. Now, Mary Magdalene, there's a lot of debate about her background because she's throughout all the Gospels, but not a whole lot is known about her history and her exact story. So you guys can write what you want in the comments about it. There's probably going to be different opinions, but the general Christian thought process was that she was a prostitute who was saved, exorcised of 7 demons, and became holy and helped and followed Jesus and helped with his mission. Was the first person to see him, or one of the first people to see him when he arose from the dead and came out of the tomb. And she's just an integral part of the Jesus story and of the Gospels. Okay. And so we have this woman who was saved by Jesus. So here we have a doctrine of forgiveness, redemption, and a woman who is saved by somebody else in a selfless act. That by itself is good, but it's the things that come after it that end up not being so good. All right. That end up becoming the evil destruction of the modern marriage. And so we have that. Okay. Redemption, forgiveness, and the story about Mary Magdalene, a prostitute, maybe, who was, forgiven, redeemed, and saved. Enter in thing number 2. All these guys and many Christian men have the hero fantasy that they're going to sweep a girl off her feet, save her from herself. And so that's that white knighting strategy that they're going to come in and save the damsel. That's actually part of an evolved sexual strategy. You can look at evolutionary psychology and see that this is a thing that guys have done in the past in order to try to give themselves sexual opportunity. Now, white knighting is not a Christian problem. It's a man problem. All right. It's something that men who don't see higher value that they have, all right, who don't believe they're of higher value. It's something that men do in order to try to secure a mate. They try to say, I'm better than those guys who are sexually attractive and that all the women want and that who have choices. And many of those men, even the most moral of those guys with sexual choices, have to break a few girls' hearts to pick the girl he wants, right? And so I'm not that mean guy. I'm the nice guy who's the hero and the strong guy who's going to come in and save you from all of that heartbreak that this damsel has gone through. Most of the heartbreak, of course, she created for herself with her own behavior, but the white knight's going to come in and rescue. And so this is just a simple, we could call it a beta male or weaker male strategy. Christian men don't like to hear it because that's what you do and you want to believe you're a strong boy. But the reality is, okay, that is a weaker strategy from men who don't have options with women. That's just the way it is. Okay. A guy with a lot of options doesn't feel like he needs to rescue or save somebody. And trying to rescue or save a girl from herself is by itself toxic and dysfunctional behavior. And so if you're a married guy and a Christian guy, you can and should be able to lead your relationship and be the head of your household, which is the Christian idea. Okay. And I think leading your relationship as a man is an idea that should be universal, but okay, you can lead that relationship without white knighting and rescuing a woman from herself and her own poor choices. If you expect to have a successful relationship, okay, you need to be able to respect and honor the agency of your wife. Okay, you have to respect and honor that she has her own agency and has her own choices to make and has accountability. Leadership doesn't mean forcing people into choices and absolving them of accountability. That's not good leadership. That's imprisonment, essentially. And most of you white knighting guys that think you're the nice guy, really on the flip side of it, when that doesn't work out for you, turn into the guys that try to imprison a woman, that try to, you become the toxic dude. You become the abusive meme. That's what you dudes, you white knighting men, become that men. You white knighting Christian men become very, very not Christian in your behavior when that strategy doesn't work for you. So you probably should open your mind up and listen to what I'm saying, because this strategy is not good and it's actually toxic. It's coming from a place of scarcity with women, and it's coming from deep feelings of shame and guilt and not feeling like you're enough as a man. That's why guys do this strategy. Okay. And that's where it comes from. And it's exceptionally dysfunctional. So that is not a Christian problem though, exclusively. That's everybody. But we have this tendency that's an evolved strategy. And a lot of men that are attracted to Christianity and the redemption story and those things that are there you interpret this redemption story with Jesus and his followers and Mary Magdalene and the whole thing. You interpret that as, well, then I need to white knight for a woman and save her from her own bad choices and from herself. That's how you interpret it, through this evolutionary lens of white knighting and seeking sexual opportunity by rescuing somebody, right? With your resources and your morality and your protection and whatever you can rescue her from, and rescuing her from mostly her own choices. That's where this is coming from. Many guys who go into religion are very attracted, especially Christians, are very attracted to this idea. Okay. They want to be the white knight for their wives. And that's a dysfunctional thing, but that's what they want. And so then on the flip side, what do we have then with women? Well, women have a tendency to deceive men as a part of their evolved sexual strategy. Yes, all women have this tendency. All men in the right or wrong mental framework could be the white knight. All right. These are evolved sexual strategies. It doesn't mean you have to do them. It doesn't mean that all women are definitely going to be deceptive, but there's a tendency to lean towards deceptiveness in order to secure a mate. Why do women put on makeup? Why do women wear makeup? All right. Why do women gossip? Okay. It's part of an inherent deceptive nature. And I'm not even going to waste time in this video trying to defend that point. Okay. You either see it or you don't, and maybe we'll make it another discussion. If you're listening to this and you don't quite understand or get that women have an evolved strategy of deceptiveness in order to secure a mate, go ahead and put it in the comments. All right. Help me to understand your point of view of why you don't see that. Maybe I'll do another video and bust that one open for you. So we got these two things happening, right? This white knighting thing. We got the deceptiveness of women as an evolved sexual strategy. And then we have an ideology of forgiveness and redemption. So with that, the thing number 3, we have married men escaping their marriages into porn. And it was porn before, but now it's OnlyFans. This is leading to part number 3. All right. Number 3 is guys escaping into internet fantasy of women instead of turning to their marriages and their real relationships and fixing problems. It's led to 240 million people simping for women on the internet. Most of those guys married men. Let's look at how that breaks down. So guys get married. They go to white knight, some girl that turns out to be their wife for whatever reason. Maybe it's not a white knight scenario. Maybe they just get married. Okay, whatever the reason is, they get married. What ends up happening is, to a lot of these guys, is they don't know seduction skills. They don't know how to communicate in a relationship well. And they don't know how to hold frame and maintain a good long-term relationship. And most of these Christian men today aren't leading their relationships. They're pretending to be the leader. It's like their wives are like mommy putting on their little karate uniforms and tightening their little karate belts and saying, now go out and be a man, son, and be a tough man at your karate class. And when you come home, mom will tell you what to do and tell you you're a good boy. That's basically what a lot of these marriages have turned into. They pretend to be the big leaders in their communities and in their marriages, and they're really not. The wife runs the show, and they run the church, and they run the marriage, and that's what's going on. Sorry, ladies, it's the truth. When women run things in the relationships don't go well, because that's not how we evolved and are designed as people. All right. A woman does not feel comfortable in her sexual self, in her feminine self. She doesn't feel comfortable as a mom. She doesn't feel comfortable as a woman being with a man who can't make decisions and who isn't leading. That's just the reality of it. Unpopular opinion, but it shouldn't be, especially among you Christian guys. Millions of you should be like, yeah, that makes sense. Instead, you're like, oh, well, I got to check with the wife and see if this opinion is okay with her. Whatever. Okay, you guys don't lead your relationships. And so what happens is sex goes away. Of course, she's not horny for you. Your wife doesn't like you. Your wife doesn't want to bang you because you are unattractive. You're not unattractive inherently. You've just put yourself in an unattractive place because you're not leading your relationships. So now you have a sexless marriage. So now the guy has to cope with that. How is he going to cope with that? Classically, pornography. Pornography's been around for a long time. Guys have classically turned to it and jerked off to cope with wives not touching their wieners. So, guy's not getting laid and husband's not getting laid. He stays faithful. He stays with the family. Used to be like, could be a Playboy magazine, could be Hustler, could be a few porn tapes he's got hidden in his basement. That's what guys turned to before. Now we got a porn epidemic. But what's worse than that is we've made it worse with things like Onlyfans for Christian men. Onlyfans stimulates the parts of the brain that take a guy completely out of his marriage and being present for his family. Here's how that works. We have to look at the hierarchy of sexual needs for a man. At the lowest level of the hierarchy, you have men that they don't have access to women. They don't have access to sex. Okay. So the first tier is just getting sex. So guys, your monkey brains, okay, the mammalian part of your brain, the animal part of your brain just wants the sex. That's the first tier. Now, once you get some sort of sexual access and you get that, then it's the next tier, which is to feel desired or desired by a woman. A lot of guys coming from the white knighting strategy fuel that second tier of hierarchy of needs by sending a girl money, by sending a girl hearts on her Instagram or on her whatever, sending a girl comments, telling her how cute she is, how beautiful she is, paying for a girl's time and being able to tell her how great she is. So it's because men have vasopressin and have a need to caretake for a woman. That's all men, not just Christian men. The Christian man who's not getting sex in his marriage, who is in a sexless, loveless, trapped lifestyle, right? He doesn't want to divorce her. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to seduce. He doesn't have frame. He escapes to pornography, but it's not just pornography isn't going to be nearly as satisfying as feeling desire from somebody. The reason why guys went to strip clubs, for example, back in the day, and some still do today, is because the stripper makes the guy feel like he's desired. The stripper makes the guy feel like, hey, like I'm here for you, when really she's there for the guy's money. They're both doing an illusion in a dance, a fantasy, all right? Paying for prostitutes, rather risky behavior. But what makes a girl who's a prostitute a good prostitute is not just how she looks, but how she makes the guy feel. Making a guy feel like he's desired will cause that guy to come back. Well, a guy from the safety of his own home across the screen on the internet can pay for a prostitute basically without physical contact, not put his marriage as much at risk, and not face the embarrassment of, crawling in, he getting busted by the cops with a prostitute, right? He can just play on the internet, send money to a girl, have this interaction. He's achieving that second part of the hierarchy of sexual needs. So there's getting sexual access is the first name of the game. Once a guy can get sexual access, whether he's jerking off to porn or actually as a real woman, okay, he wants that woman to desire him. The reason why porn is a dead end and men tend to get addicted is because they're not fully satisfied just watching porn. After a while, a guy needs more and more and more. The reason he needs more and more is beyond what addiction experts say, because there's a lot of missing pieces from the neurology experts and the addiction experts as to why porn is put somebody down this rabbit hole. In my determination, porn does this because there's that second hierarchy. A guy needs to feel desire from a woman, and this is what fuels us as men, our vasopressin and our need to caretake for a woman who might bear our children. That reaction in our brains happens when a woman demonstrates desire for us, not just having sex with us because she needs to pretend like she's orgasming to get, some allowance money or some shopping money, or because it's Tuesday and you're married and it's her wifely duty. That doesn't go very far. Having wifely duty sex isn't really that hot. Having a woman be absolutely crazy about you and in desire for you is pretty damn hot for most of us guys, because that is the next part of the hierarchy. So you have your base of getting your wiener touched. Once a guy, you have a base of getting sexual access. Once that's achieved, it's desire. Once desire is achieved, the next part of the hierarchy is having a companion, having somebody that's like a good long-term companion and someone to build a life with. And that's what the guy was hoping to get when he got married, but he didn't get it. So he escaped into the internet. And so now you have all these Christian men and husbands escaping into the internet onto OnlyFans. And they're on OnlyFans getting sexual access by jerking off to girls who pretend like they like them, and then they send them money. But what comes with that with a Christian guy? Shame and guilt, and rightfully so, right? So a man feels ashamed, he feels guilty because he is escaping, essentially cheating on the internet with some OnlyFans girl, escaping the marriage. And maybe it's not a big cheat. Like he's not having sex with a neighbor. He doesn't have like a secret girlfriend who he got pregnant and he has to like raise a whole second family. Like it's not the worst offense in terms of consequences, but it's not great. He's diverting resources, money, time, affection, love, all those things into an internet person, into a relationship that's not real. And this is where guys get addicted to it. And who's addicted to it? Guys in bad marriages, generally Christian guys. Now, so these guys feel ashamed. They feel guilt. You watching this, if this is you probably feel pretty shame. You're not going to tell anybody. If these guys, this is why this is behind the curtain, not the story they're telling. When you go to church, Christian guys, listen up. All right. You go to church, right, on Sunday, and you say, or Bible study on a Tuesday, and you go high five and talk to your buddies and your men that are around you and other husbands and all that stuff, right? Ask them how things are, or shake their hand, or whatever you say, or whatever you do, or maybe just look around you. Fair amount of those guys that are married in your church are part of the 240 million people who are on OnlyFans, simping for a girl that doesn't really like them but pretends to, and then they send that girl money and jerk off. This is a good portion of the guys that are showing up at your church, that are shaking your hand, that are having conversations about, I don't know, whatever they're having conversations about, right? But these are the guys that show up. This is maybe you. So there's a lot, but are they telling you that? Are these guys meeting up? Are you guys all meeting? You guys having a husband's meeting where you guys talk about, hey, you know what? We're at our husband's coffee talk, okay, for married adults in their 30s, part of the church group. We're meeting for coffee on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whatever. It wouldn't be Sunday, but Saturday morning to talk about stuff. Do you guys ever talk, you 20 men that you get together? Do y'all talk about how many of y'all are on OnlyFans? How much money you donated this week to some girl on the internet that you're simping for, taking money from your families, putting it into her pocket? Have you making these girls millions of dollars? Have you had that conversation at your fucking coffee meeting? Probably not, right? So this is the shit that happens behind the curtain. These guys are pretending and may even say, oh, the evils of pornography. Meanwhile, click, 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 click. I love you, fucking violet, red, whatever. Here's $50. You know what I mean? That's the shit. That's what you guys are doing. And if you're not doing it, that's not you. And you go to that coffee meeting, look around you. 240 million men are doing it, and 90% of them are married. So I can almost guarantee there's at least one guy, if not half of the guys there, that are doing exactly this. They don't tell the story. So let's look at the next part of the progression. Sexual access, lowest tier, a feeling of desire from a woman, which is our vasopressin parts of our brain. They're getting that through fantasy on OnlyFans. So what happens when a woman then says, I'm resolving to not be on OnlyFans anymore? What happens when, some of these porn stars say, oh, the porn industry is so evil now. I'm no longer going to do the porn. I'm going to get married. I'm going to get married and I'm going to be a Christian and I'm going to put on a tight shirt with my boobies out and I'm going to cook and do cooking videos. Look at me. I'm stirring up the cooking batter on Instagram Reels. What do you think these Christian guys are doing? Oh, it's so amazing that you've overcome so much. They're simping for the same girl. That girl's getting clicks, likes, attention, and money, paid advertisements, millions of dollars in some cases. And you guys, what you're doing is it's the next level of simping. It started with, I just need someone to touch my wiener. Then it went, okay, I need genuine desire from someone. Oh, you're going to pretend to desire me if I send you money? Awesome. Thank you for that. Cool. Time to go to church. Time to go to my coffee meeting with the boys from church, talk about, the dangers of whatever in society. But don't worry, babes, violet, red, sex, blah, cat, 3000. I'll be back later tonight to send you $50 more. Tell me I'm a good boy, right? That's what's going on. Okay. So then that graduates from OnlyFans to, I'm no longer in pornography. I've turned to the Lord, everybody. Holy shit. We've reached the fantasy of the third tier, which is a woman who could be a companion for someone. Wow. We've reached it, guys. In my fantasy internet world, the fantasy internet world these guys exist in, we've reached it finally. And now we can talk about redemption and how we can put these women on a pedestal of having overcome so much and having been so amazing to have subjected herself to millions of dollars from simping married men to resolve to not do that for the Lord so she can marry a guy who will take care of her for the rest of their life while they spend that money and also make more money off of this new conversion they've done. That's where we're at now. And the Christian guy falls for it because it's the third level of sexual hierarchy of needs, which is in this case, the fantasy of having a long-term companion. And so guys get to dive into that fantasy and even follow the person on their platforms. And so a lot of times they don't even get off of OnlyFans. They'll change the platform into talks about politics with their boobs out or cooking classes with their boobs out. Their Instagram reels are all about them being a mom, and the guys are like, oh, let me jerk off to that, Great. So that's what's happening. This video is I don't even know how to end this fucking video. So great. Good job, Christian guys. What do we do now? What's the problem here? All of this energy going down this pathway and worshiping this girl who had redemption. Where's that same energy for the girl who didn't do any of that shit? Where's that same energy for the girl who married you? Where's that same energy for your relationship you should be building with a real woman who should actually be a long-term companion, who desires you and who has frequent, enthusiastic sex with you? Not duty sex, but very enthusiastic sex with you. Where's that happening? That's not happening in your lives. That's not happening in these guys' lives. Well, what's happening is this great simping that's happening for women at all levels in the soft core camming industry into the tradcon content creation industry, and the audacity to feature this Nala chick on your fucking platform over and over again to let her grift her bullshit is amazing to me. It's just amazing. This is not a redemption story, guys. You know what the redemption story never really involves? It never involves somebody not having accountability or an understanding of the problems they created with their bad behavior, and to use Christian terminology, sinful behavior. And so you're creating so much evil and I'm going to use some Christian moralizing terminology here. You're creating so much evil in your own life and in the lives of others by supporting this shit. All you guys who claim to be Christian, who run to my little Twitter account or my YouTube account to comment about how she is saved and if you just understood and all this crap, you are a part of the problem, because we have an epidemic of broken Christian men who don't know how to have good relationships. Their wives are miserable. These guys are miserable, and they're escaping to internet fantasy through the progression of porn, Onlyfans, and then the redemption story for some porn girl that they get to continue to support and simp for. And in all of that bullshit, you're leaving out women who genuinely turned away from that stuff and genuinely are trying to be a good companion to you guys. And half the reason, sure, we got the story of the women who take advantage of men and who are deceptive and all that stuff, but that's not the story of a lot of these women who get married to you guys. A lot of these women are doing the best they can, and you as a man don't know how to lead. You as a man don't know how to seduce, which, by the way, is a real important skill you need to learn. I'll present my community now for free, which most of you will not click on because you're too stuck in your pattern of dysfunction to actually think, gee, maybe I should learn skills with women, skills about how to seduce women, communicate better relationships, understand reality. You've escaped fully into your own religious bull crap. Okay, because there's religious stuff that's not bullcrap, and then there's what you do. You escape into that. You won't click on the link in the community to go in there for free and start asking questions. You won't do it, most of you. The ones that do, thank you, by the way, for doing it, supports what I do, even though it is free just to get on there, but there's paid coaching, there's other stuff that can happen if you need additional help. But by the end of it, at the end of it, is the reason I do what I do is I do this for the guys who are willing to help themselves. Many of those guys are Christians, and many of those guys are more secular. Okay, it's a mixed bag. Some are of other religions too. You decide that part on your own, but I'm here to impart skill sets in communication and understanding human behavior so you can have, and of course, in mental resiliency and fitness and performance so you can do better. I provide that, and I'm going to provide that for you. I'll give you a lot of free stuff to get you started, and then maybe you need additional help from there. Anyways, click the link, get in the community if you're the kind of person who needs to help themselves. All right, who is willing to help themselves. Okay, the rest of you, though, I know I'm not attracting many of you guys are going to click that link with this video. Most of you guys are just going to sit here and not do anything to help yourself because you're too busy. You're too far gone at this point, at least until I don't know. It's going to take some epiphany moment for some of you guys to realize how broken and how messed up you are. All right, and that's to include you Christian guys who are commenting on my shit like as if I don't understand. I know I understand perfectly well what's going on. All right. So what's the answer here? The answer here is you got to stop supporting these grifting content creators who are the women that get out of porn and they're trying to grift for attention. Stop supporting them. Stop featuring them in interviews. Stop holding them up on a pedestal to share this redemption story, because most of these redemption stories are not real stories. Most of these women are deceptive, to include that little thing that was on that video that I showed earlier. And they're just trying to get the next bag, the next audience, the next piece of internet attention. And getting internet attention and supplying women like that with internet attention, whether it's a cooking tradcon video with my boobies out, or whether it's, actual porn and stuff on OnlyFans, or on a hardcore, more professional setting, if you want to call it that. Regardless of what it is, it's escaping into internet fantasy and supporting that with your attention and your money. That is what's destroying your marriages. If you weren't escaping into that to include escaping into that bullshit to defend some porn star you don't know. Your attention could go into your marriage, go into your relationships. If you don't have a marriage, but you're like, I would like that someday, that's your thing. Where's your attention on learning about the dating market, learning how to date and court a woman properly, which you don't know, I can almost promise it. Learning better communication skills so you don't do some of the stupid things that a lot of people do and ruin their marriages, to include white knighting, to include covert contracts and simping for your wife and treating your marriage as if it's a negotiation, right? Instead of leadership and communicating like a couple, right? If you don't do those things, put your energy into those things, listen to people like myself who will tell you how to do that versus getting down the road of fantasy to escape a problem. You want to save the West? You want to save Christian marriage? Christian marriage for you is broke before you even begun. If you don't start turning away from all the internet distraction stuff and all the bullshit, to include OnlyFans, to include Christian trad con girls doing housewife stuff. Turn away from that shit and look inward, look at your own life, look at your own relationships, and face the problem like a man. Face the problem with discipline and resiliency. Face your shortcomings because no one told you how to seduce a woman. Sorry, that's not a class you get, but you talk to people who know things and can help you and actually become that leader and that husband and that hero that your girl actually wants to have sexual relations with on a regular basis, actually wants to be with. Okay. That's going to take work. That's going to take effort. That's going to take not being a big, gigantic, weak simp of a man who escapes into the internet and into the fantasy of tradcon content creators who used to do porn and then watching episodes on the Daily Wire about it and making up excuses for guys who simp for them, making up excuses for the women who do it, talking about some evil that is out there that's causing them to do it as if they're not the ones making the choices. I don't think Mary Magdalene was absolved of accountability. Personally, if she existed as the Bible says she did, and whatever her story is, I don't know if I'll ever get the full story in this lifetime, but I don't think that story was one where she got her accountability removed from her and where guys simped for her. I don't think that's the story. I think the story was somebody who probably had to overcome some serious struggles and made her mission about redemption for others and made her mission about the Jesus story and what that meant. I think that she wouldn't be on a platform the way that some of these girls are supposedly recovered from pornography. I don't believe that. I think that she wouldn't be being put up on a pedestal by weak men who need to fulfill their tradcon fantasy to escape their miserable marriages. I don't think that that's where that would have gone. I would like to not. I'd like to believe that that's not that story. I'd like to believe her story is of true redemption and of true forgiveness and truly being saved from evil. And I think before you guys, try to save and white knight other women or prop women up as a success story to make yourself feel less guilty and shameful about what goes on behind closed doors, maybe you should start with your own salvation. Okay? Maybe you should start there and start with leading your own families and leading your own circles and in your own relationships, and leading those things isn't just praying about it. When my car breaks down, I don't just pray on it. I fix the car. And if I don't fix it with my own hands, I seek out help, right? How are you going to do well in your relationships if you don't do the work yourself? You just going to pray on it, or are you going to do something about it too?